Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about watch movements and some of the fundamental differences really. Now the watches I have in front of me from my collection here, they're all mechanical watches, but they have one thing in common with each other, and that is that they're manually wound watches. Now most people are used to mechanical watches and you put them on and they power themselves basically. Now how they do that normally is with one of these, a rotor, and as you have it on your wrist, this rotor will spin, and the spinning of this rotor will give power to the mainspring in the barrel. Now basically you can sometimes manually wind it to get it started, or you can give them a shake to get the rotor moving and giving the watch power. But these watches here don't have a rotor. So if you look on the back of these watches, let's for instance take this Panerai, you notice it has a beautiful movement, but there's no rotor spinning around. So the only way this gets any power is by you manually winding the watch. So let me go through these. So basically this is a Panerai 177. I've had this watch for many years, 11 or so, and its caliber, so the caliber, what I mean by that is this, its engine, its works, the watch movement. The caliper is actually referred, this one is the OPX1 movement. That's what Panerai call it, but basically it's based on the ETA 6497/2. So it's got 17 joules, and what I mean by that are these pivot points here with the synthetic rubies in there, and it beats at 21,600 VPN. So that's the ticking of the second hand, and that basically works out to, let's see, at 6 beats per second. So, and it has a battery, there we go. It has a power supply, or power reserve should I say, of 56 hours. Now what you have to do with this watch, so what that means basically is every 2 days or so you manually wind a watch, and if I pull this out here, you can see that's transferring power from me winding the crown to the barrel. And when you hear a click, that is this bit down here, the clicker. So that's stopping the watch from, that's stopping the spring from basically, because inside there is a coiled spring, and if that wasn't there it'd just unravel itself very quickly. And to be fair, it's a beautiful looking movement. Now here is another, let's go to this one. This is a Larco Memmingen, and unfortunately this one you can't see the actual movement in the back, but it's got a buttery smooth wind to it. So here, so it winds ever so nicely. Now the movement in this one, I'll drop a picture in, is the ETA 28042, 17 joule, but the big advantage this one has over the Panerai, though I should point out the Panerai is very accurate. It's designed to chronometer spec, so no more than, I think it's -4 +6 a day. But this one actually, even though it isn't chronometer spec, it actually runs a lot better than that. So I say 17 joule, and on this one the second hand actually runs a lot smoother because it runs at 28,800 Hertz. So what that means is you're getting 8 ticks per second, which on this rather large dial is rather nice, because you actually get a smoother running second hand than on the Panerai. But to be fair, when it's only a small second hand like that, you don't really notice, so it's not too much of a problem. This one though only has a power reserve of 42 hours. Now what I mean by power reserve, I say that is how long the watch will carry on running after you wind it up fully. Now you may say, how do I know when it's full? Well, this now is full and I can feel tension, it doesn't want to go any further. So basically you don't want to wrench it around, but you'll feel when it doesn't want to go any further. Now, this one here is actually a Chrono. So you can see it running there. Now, this one is actually the cheapest of the watches here, because after all, the Panerai now, well, I think new price of this 11 years ago was about £3,500, and now a bit more than that. This you can still buy new from Larco, and that's about €980. This one, the Hoffman, I'm not exactly sure. I think these were about £250 or £300, but just look at that movement. It is lovely. Let me clean that a little bit. Now that movement there is the cheapest one of the lot. It's a Seagull ST19 series movement, and this one beats 21,600, so 3 beats per second, 22 joules, and only a 37 hour power supply, power reserve, sorry. But look at it, it's beautiful. If I click the stopwatch, so you should be able to see down here, that's called a column wheel, and that sets everything moving. Press it again, and you can see, and reset. Let's reset now. He says close, and that is just simply a stunning looking movement, albeit very cheap. The reason why it's cheap is this one's actually a movement which was Swiss and then sold off to the Chinese government, I believe it was, and they basically make it now. And this I get about 4 or 5 seconds a day on this one when it's on your wrist, so it's actually very good. The last one of my manual wind watches is this Corum. Now this is a little bit different to the other manual wind watches just simply by looking at it. It's typical Corum, it's completely bizarre. The actual caliber of this one, well, sorry, the watch first is called the jumping hours. The caliber is the CO, I think it's 154H3, 20 joule, 21,000 hertz movement again, so 3 beats per second. You have the running seconds here. But what makes this watch rather special, apart from the fact that it's limited edition number 1, is that's the hour indicator. So you see here, and then when this goes round, so at the minute it's 9:40, 9:45, 9:50, 9:55, and then it's 10 o'clock. And as you can see there, if I go around again and again, pure witchcraft. It's fantastic. So unfortunately on this one you can't actually see the movement in the back. I'll drop some pictures in. This one has got a very firm, let me just, still a buttery smooth. I'd say out of all of them, winding them, my preference would possibly be the Larco first, then the Panerai, and then the Corum, and then down to the Seagull movement. Now you may say, why on earth do you want a manual wind watch? After all, it's just something you've got to do. Well, yes, to a degree, yes, it is something you have to do every couple of days, is wind a watch, or a little bit more with this one. But the simple fact is, it gets more of a connection between you and the watch, I find anyway. Some people might just, simply not like it. But I simply like the fact that, every other day, you wind a watch. It's just something satisfying, nice about it. So, but I do agree, it's not for everyone. But there you go. That is the big difference. I'll show you again that one. The big difference between the two is that you do have to physically wind the watch on these, where an automatic, if you wear it on your wrist, it will carry on going. Don't get me wrong, these still have a power reserve, and this one is a Selita SW200 movement, so that's got around about 40-hour power reserve. So if you take it off your wrist, you've got 40 hours before it will actually stop running. So, but as long as it's on your wrist, that will always, fully be charging it up. Whereas these ones, the manual wind watches, you actually have to physically wind them up yourself. So, horses for courses, depend if that is your kind of thing. But I personally do like a manual wind watch, and they're still current. When you think there's companies like Omega making the Moon Series watch for professional, which is still a manual wind, so there's still obviously a big market from out there. Anyway, I hope this clears up the difference between automatic and manual, and I'll see you at the next watch video. All the best. Stay safe out there. Bye.